Amaka signed the divorce papers on a rainy Tuesday morning in Lagos. The room was quiet, the only sound coming from the ticking wall clock in the lawyer's office. 12 years of marriage had ended with a signature, a quiet nod, and the kind of silence that only follows betrayal. Jide, her ex-husband, didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His distance had said enough over the years. Needing time to heal, Amaka left the city behind and returned to Enugu, to her late grandmother's bungalow, a quiet, aging structure nestled behind a massive mango tree. The house had always carried the scent of wood polish and old memories. It was there she had spent most of her childhood, raised by Mama Ifeoma, a woman both gentle and stern, who never spoke much about the past. Amaka only meant to stay a few weeks. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. One afternoon, as a soft breeze rustled the mango leaves outside, Amaka wandered into the attic. An old space that had always been locked when Mama Ifeoma was alive. Dust clung to every surface, and cobwebs draped the corners like faded curtains. She found an old trunk, wrapped in faded Ankara cloth, and inside were neatly bound stacks of handwritten letters. At the very top was a yellowing envelope that bore a single name, Chuka. She hesitated. Her heart beat faster as she opened the first letter. Then the second. And then the third. The words spilled secrets. They spoke of a hidden love between Mama Ifeoma and a man named Chuka, wealthy, married, and deeply entangled in her life. The letters were filled with longing, sorrow, and an ache for something that could never be. But among them lay a truth far greater than forbidden romance. Her mother, Ngozi, had not been the daughter of Ifeoma's late husband, as she had always believed. She was Chuka's child. Amaka had grown up in the shadow of this secret, never knowing the truth of her lineage. Her heart pounded with every page, piecing together a story of concealed identities and stolen love. But it was the final letter, dated only months before Mama Ifeoma's death, that chilled her to the bone. "Tell Chuka to stay away," the letter warned. "I won't let Victor ruin everything." Victor. Amaka froze. That name. That man. The same Victor who had introduced her to Jide all those years ago. A friend of the family, a shadow in the background, never truly present, yet never far away. She hadn't heard his name in over a decade. Questions clawed at her. What did Victor have to do with her grandmother? Why had Mama Ifeoma feared him? Amaka traveled to a nearby village to speak with her aunt, her mother's sister, who had long kept her distance from the family affairs. It took hours of coaxing, but finally, with tears in her eyes, the woman confessed. Victor had discovered the secret years ago. He had found the letters and used them to blackmail Mama Ifeoma, demanding money in exchange for his silence. When she resisted, he threatened to destroy everything she had built. And then, he found another way to tighten his grip. He introduced Amaka to Jide. Carefully. Calculatedly. He orchestrated their meeting, pushed for the relationship, and stood by as it blossomed into marriage. It hadn't been coincidence. It had been strategy. Jide had married her knowing exactly who she was, and who she wasn't. To them, Amaka had been a pawn in a larger game of wealth, legacy, and land. The betrayal struck her like thunder. She had trusted Jide. She had loved him. But now she realized he had seen her not as a partner, but as an opportunity. Fueled by rage and sorrow, Amaka boarded a bus to Lagos and marched to Jide's office. She slammed the letters onto his table. He looked up, startled. His silence confirmed everything. When he finally spoke, his words were colder than Harmattan wind. "I did what I had to do," he said simply. "You were a means to an end." Her slap cracked through the air. She left him with her head held high, tears threatening to fall but never allowed to. That night, back in Enugu, she sat under the mango tree and made a decision. She would no longer be anyone's pawn. She hired a lawyer and reopened her divorce case. She filed a suit for defamation and manipulation. Then, she reached out to Chuka's surviving family, an uncomfortable step, but necessary. A DNA test confirmed what the letters already had: she was Chuka's granddaughter. The family, initially skeptical, welcomed her with open arms once the truth settled. Amaka didn't want their money. She didn't need land or compensation. All she wanted was recognition, for her grandmother's pain, for her mother's stolen legacy, for herself. Months passed. The house, once heavy with silence, began to feel lighter. Amaka kept one letter, the one that carried Mama Ifeoma's blessing: "If you ever find these, my child, know that you come from strength, not shame." She opened a small school in the village, using her savings and a grant from a women's foundation. She called it Ifeoma's Grace Academy. It became a place where children were taught to read, to speak, to dream, and to know that no matter their beginnings, they were worthy of greatness. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the mango tree swayed in the breeze, Amaka watched her children play in the red soil. She had reclaimed her name, her past, her power. The truth had nearly broken her. But in the end, it had set her free.